Red Zone in the lab. Commanders. It's time. Let's get it, homie. Yo, what is good? This is day, what is this? Day 6? Sheesh. We got 3 more days, ladies and gentlemen. 3 more days. Today, we got a heck of a lineup today. We're going to start it off with Louie T. This was pre-recorded. But we're going to start it off with Louie T, man. Appreciate Pooh for being a member last night, joining the RITL community. Appreciate everyone else that's already a part of the RITL community. And if you're not part of the RITL community, please check it out. It's right there in the comments. It's pinned to the top. Check out some of the perks in the RITL community. If you want to support your boy, either way, check it out, man. Look out. Teddy, what's good, man? Where you been at? It's been a minute. I ain't seen you in a minute. Season's about to kick off. If you're here, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to like. All that good stuff. About to get this Louie T interview geared up. Outside of that, man, it's the quarterback came out early this morning, 3 a.m. Eastern time. The David Blau interview came out with Ari. Ari absolutely crushed that interview. Absolutely crushed that interview, man. We got a lot of information about David Blau that we're gonna probably get into at some point during this show. Let's see. Don't forget to share, man. Share, retweet, get it all. All right, let me see. Get this joint rocking real quick. All right, let me get it in here. I didn't mean to do that. All right, there you go. Let's rock and roll, man. We got Louie T in the building. Yes, sir. We are back in the building. Red Zone and Lab podcast. I am due, and it is an absolute honor. Louie T, welcome to the lab, man. How you feeling today?
Man, I'm blessed, bro. I appreciate you for having me on, Deuce. Man, it's been a long off season. We are getting close to the finish line. Training camp is right around the corner, and so much to discuss with this team about the receiver position, you know, and how we see all of this kind of playing itself out. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited, and I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate you taking the time. Let's get right into the wide receiver room, right? I still think it's Terry and them. Rio convinced me a little bit about Antonio Williams yesterday. But overall, how are you seeing this wide receiver room?
So, I mean, I think we have PTSD, as I like to call it, post Dan Snyder disorder. And so I think as a fan base, because of how last year went, having to deal with the Chris Moores and the Robbie Chosens and the Tay Martins of the world last year, I think this fan base is scarred, right? And so I think it's more so us than it is the organization that is pressed to add a receiver. Although I do think they're going to add a receiver. I think it's a good group. It's not a great group, right? It's not one of the best groups in the NFL, but it's a good group. And if it's healthy, you can win with this group. You have Terry, obviously, as your number one receiver, and he's healthy and he's motivated. I think he heard the noise last year, getting the contract. He's getting older. I think he understands what this year represents for him. I expect a big year from him. Antonio Williams is a dog. Like, that was my guy in the draft. I wanted Antonio Williams on this team. I didn't think it was going to happen, but when it happened, I was so elated. I think most people saw my reaction with the Kings. It was crazy. But that was my guy throughout the draft process. I was a lot higher on him than most. So for him to be here, I think he's going to be a huge addition to the receiver room. Having Diami back, I know a lot of people always make fun of Diami not having big numbers and, you know, this, that, and the third. It didn't go well for him in Jacksonville last year, but they missed Diami here. And I think Diami being back is, even if it's just more so of a boost in the locker room, he provides something that we haven't had, you know, here or didn't have last year, at least, in that speed outside of Terry. But they added, you know, Traylon Burks last year, and he continues to develop, and hopefully he can show why he was a former first-round pick. You got Luke and Jalen as two young developmental receivers who we hope continue to grow. I'm not necessarily high on Jalen, as a receiver necessarily, but I know what he brings to the table as a special team player, punt returner. But Luke has a chance, I think, to take a step forward and ascend. And then Van Jefferson, brings the room together as a veteran. And if Van Jefferson is your seventh receiver on your roster, you're in pretty good shape, I believe.
When it comes to Antonio Williams, right? What type of ceiling do you think he has year one?
So I think based off of this offense and what we know, and we don't know a whole hell of a lot. We think we know.
Did you see the Ari interview yet?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I caught pieces of it, and this is and the part to probably go into what you're about to say. This is the Blau offense from David Blau. It designs, not dictate. Ben Johnson, and he mentions these coaches. Ben Johnson, premier plays to attack defenses. He mentioned Cliff Kingsbury, no huddle. Kevin O'Connell, installs, which I think, and I know you can really talk about that install portion. Dan Campbell, fourth down aggression. Matt Patricia, which was interesting, situational football. And he says, with our quarterback pulling the trigger, we will like the outcome.
Yeah. And I love all of those different people that he's pulling from. You bring up Matt Patricia. I watched him. He had a talk at Notre Dame, and he's really smart. He's at Ohio State right now, and most people know him for the defensive side of the football. But I think what we've learned over the years is that if you can coach defense, in order to coach defense, you have to know offense.
Right.
That's how you can stop it. So he has very detailed knowledge of both sides of the football. And he's very detail oriented, is what I gathered from the speech that I watched him give at Notre Dame. And I've always had an issue with coaches who don't understand down and distance, time as it relates to what is necessary. We call that situational awareness. Like, Scott Turner was among the worst we've ever seen at that. Like, a great play caller.
Man, I feel the same way.
But situationally, Scott Turner just didn't get it, right?
Right.
And I think hearing him say that, hearing David Blau say that situational awareness matters is very important, because a number of play callers, we see how brilliant they are, but they don't get it situationally. What is required in this particular moment, right? And to take all of those different offensive minds that he mentioned, Kevin O'Connell, Cliff Kingsbury, Ben Johnson, and throw them into one melting pot, there's a chance for massive success. You take the best parts of what all of those guys bring together, bring to the table rather, and there's a chance that this offense could be extraordinary. And like he said, with 5 pulling the trigger, you feel really confident. We don't know what this David Blau offense is going to be,
Right.
but if you've watched Kevin O'Connell, if you've watched, and we have for the last 2 years in particular, the Cliff Kingsbury offense, if you've watched Ben Johnson's offense, whether it's in Detroit or in Chicago, you feel really confident that if he's taking bits and pieces from those offenses, we're going to be in pretty good shape. And so when you talk about Antonio Williams in this offense, he has a chance to be like a massive target and a catch and run guy. Like, I think the biggest thing that I'm excited about for this offense is the ability to have run after the catch. It's something that we've lacked here for quite some time, right?
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see that with Terry. We haven't seen enough of that with him throughout his career. I think you're going to see that with Chig. He hasn't had a lot of opportunities to do that in Tennessee. And I think you can see that with Antonio Williams. And we went from a team that had almost next to no catch and run opportunities, no yards after catch, to a team that I think is going to have a ton of run after catch opportunities in Yak. And when I think of Antonio Williams, I think of a guy that is really dangerous with the football in his hands, a guy that can separate. That's going to bode well for him in this offense. I think his ceiling in this offense in his rookie season, think of like a Jarvis Landry, if you can think back to Jarvis Landry. Think of I don't want to say Amon-Ra St. Brown, because those kind of numbers are cartoonish that he puts up. Like, you talk about 115 catches and like 1,500 yards. We're not talking about that.
Anomalies.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, somewhere in that 60 to 75 catch range for anywhere between 650 to 850 yards in his rookie season. And, anywhere from 4 to 7 touchdowns. I think it's going to be an extraordinary rookie campaign for with a lot of room to grow. I wouldn't be shocked if he exceeds those numbers, but I'm looking at 700 yards, 775 yards, 70 catches, and like 5 touchdowns, something along those lines.
And that was a great wide receiver too numbers. Like, because a lot of times we look at the teams, we look at the Bengals, or we look at the Cowboys. Like, listen, everybody doesn't have that setup, right? Like, everybody doesn't have 2,000-yard receivers. That doesn't happen as often. And when you mention Scott Turner, like I call it telling the story, right? Like, he had great scenes within the episodes, but the episodes never connected, right? So the shows end up failing. So when with Blau coming into this situation with the head coach, great first year, horrible last year, and we could talk about the injuries and all that, but those are daddy issues. The fact of the matter is, this is a pivotal 3rd year. Do you think Blau, like, how much time do you think, like, or grace do you think he has? And I'm not talking about him just as a play caller, but just being connected to Dan for this offense to click.
So that's probably the $1 million question, because like, obviously he's connected to Dan Quinn, but if things go really well on offense, but overall the team doesn't win, could we see a situation where they get rid of Dan Quinn and promote David Blau to head coach?
Yeah,
that's an option that could exist. I've been of the mindset that if the offense is productive and it's what we think it can be, then the team's going to be successful. And if the team's successful, Dan Quinn is going to get the credit for that. Obviously, David Blau will get his own individual accolades and credit for that, and he will be in the discussion for getting a head coaching job elsewhere. But I think the ability to call plays and have this offense be successful, I think he'll be given a bit of a runway this season. I think the fan base is going to be impatient because naturally they want to win. So having the Eagles in week 1 and the Cowboys in week 2 and the Seahawks in week 3, that doesn't help.
It does
right,
help
right out of the gate, right? And if you come out and you struggle in those first 3 games,
it could get ugly.
The fan base is gonna, turn ugly very quickly. It's pitchforks and torches time, right? For most fans. But ultimately, he's never done this before. Neither has
Exactly.
Durante Jones.
Right.
And you would like to hope that there's a grace period given to both of these gentlemen to come in and do their jobs and have the ability. Like, I always try to equate this to real life because I always say that sports is a microcosm of real life. Like, if you just started your job,
I like that, Louie.
you know what I'm saying? Like, if you just started your job, you can't expect to go in there and produce like somebody who's been doing it for 5 to 7 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if someone was breathing down your neck or over your shoulder constantly when you first got there and not giving you a chance to learn, because sometimes they can teach you all these things, but the application of it only really truly happens when you get in and you start doing it and have hands-on experience. You're going to make mistakes. It's trial and error. Right. And I would love to see the fan base give both of them time. If it doesn't happen, I mean, both of them could come out of the gates swinging, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, they killing it. But it could also go the other way.
Please don't let that happen week 1. I don't know how I'm going to be able to contain myself, Louie.
if they go crazy in week 1 against the Eagles,
yeah. I mean, oh my God.
Look, man,
I know you and Lil Brunson gonna have something cracking.
You already know if we come out the gate swinging in week 1 and we land and we hit them with a haymaker, I'm gonna be excited, but don't let us catch them and then get Dallas the next week.
Oh my goodness,
bro, I'm gonna be insufferable. Bro, you ain't gonna be able to tell me nothing, bro. And I know the football guys usually frown upon that type of behavior, and this is probably why we ain't won nothing, because I don't know how to act. If you give me, like, if this team is super successful, wildly successful, I ain't gonna know how to act. I've already said, like, don't let us be nice, because I'm telling you right now, I'm not humble. I'm not.
Right. They thought 2024 was something like, bro, like the crazy thing is, even before 20, like, even though we've been through so much these last 30 years, you give us a little bit of hope. We act like we be here. We act like we be here.
I was talking so greasy in 2024, bro. I mean, I was talking all kinds of reckless out of the side of my neck. I had Eagles fans ready to, them ready to show up on my doorstep, bro. I was talking all kinds of crazy. And then we got humbled in the NFC Championship game, and I couldn't say nothing. But I mean, I was talking all kinds of reckless, bro. And you couldn't tell me nothing about 5. Like,
no, not even after that game. You can't tell me.
You still couldn't tell me nothing about 5,
right? Even after that game, because he still showed up. He still was walking up.
Man,
yeah, that was some of the best fun I ever had, man. Standing up on the tables in Tampa Bay, and standing on their concession stands after the game, like that was one of the absolute top 5 best moments of my life, man. Experiencing that. So let's go to the 2024 class, because I think the 2024 class is a pivotal year. This upcoming year, I think Adam Peters is pretty much like, these are all his guys, right? Like, this team, this is his team. So now it's like, all right, like, I need y'all to perform or I gotta move on. Which one of these guys do you think is going to have the biggest year? Like, a couple of these guys are going to be Senate. Is it going to be Mikey? Like, well, let me reframe it. Who has to have a big year from this 2024 class?
So I think of 3 guys in particular, right? We can remove Jaden from the equation. We know he needs to have a big year, but we expect that, right?
Right.
So we can remove Jaden from the conversation and just focus on all the other draft picks. I think there are 3 guys in particular. I think Johnny Newton is probably at the top of the list because he was the first of those second-round picks.
Yep.
And he's the guy that really hasn't shown anything to this point that you expected to see something from. Now, he's had 4 sacks, I think, in each of his first 2 seasons, which is solid. But when you take it in the context of, he had 3 of those sacks in one game. You know what I mean? Like, Johnny has been a disappointment to this point. And you could make the excuse for him the first year, oh, he was coming off of surgery and he had to get right. Cool. the second year, you could say, okay, well, you had all of these different moving parts, and Giants trying to figure out like, where do I fit in? Do I want to gain weight? Do I want to be more physical? Do I want to whatever? Right. This year, I think he figured it out. I think he's lost weight. He's in tremendous shape.
Yeah, he looks good.
He looks to be in the best shape of his career. I think he's embraced. Look, I'm undersized. That's what I am. My calling card is going to be quickness and getting in the backfield, which is supposed to be what he was coming out of Illinois. Right. And in this defensive scheme where it's a lot of chaos created up front by movement, this could be the scheme that unlocks Johnny Newton. I hope that is the case for him. So he's one of the guys that I feel like from that 24 class has to step up. Mikey is another one where I'm a big Mike Samerstill fan. I was a huge Mikey fan coming out of Michigan in that 2024 class. I remember like it was yesterday, Nick Saban saying pound for pound, the best player in this draft is Mike Samerstill. And I believe that to 100%. So Mike Samerstill, to me, is a guy that is fully capable. I want to see this full-time move because it's always been like, one toe in the water at boundary, one toe in the water at nickel, right? And it's just been back and forth, back and forth. He hasn't actually had a home anywhere. I think he's now officially a boundary corner, right? Yeah. And I want to see if he can thrive because when he's played out there, he's actually been pretty good. Mm-hmm. There are deficiencies to his game, right? He's undersized. He's not the fastest guy in the world. We know these things. But this defense, this particular scheme, it is built for guys like him to be able to thrive despite not having the attributes that you look for in like a man cover corner, right? This is not that kind of scheme. Right. And so if Byron Murphy, who I think the measurables, the speed, everything kind of mirrors that of Mikey. If Byron Murphy can thrive in this scheme, I think Mikey can too. So he's the another guy that I think has to step up this year from that 2024 class. And I'm going to skip over Ben Sinnott because a lot of people think it's Ben Sinnott. I don't think it's him. I think it's the next guy that was drafted, and that's Brandon Coleman. All right. Mm-hmm. Brandon Coleman is going into year 3. He had this great rookie season where we asked a lot of him at left tackle. And he was a huge part of that 2024 season. A lot of people don't like to acknowledge the fact that Coleman, we had to help him a ton. But when he was left on an island, he wasn't terrible. Yeah. And we don't have the season we had in 2024 without his play at left tackle, right? Then we just assume, okay, well, they traded for Larry Tunsil, so they're going to give him a chance at right tackle. And then they go out and they draft Josh Conley Jr. So we're like, okay, well, I always thought his most natural position was guard anyway. So I'm like, okay, cool, kick him inside. And I don't know if they didn't like what they saw from a work ethic standpoint. That's what it sounded like to me. Like they didn't feel like he was putting in enough work and giving everything that he had to give. So they sat him down. And Chris Paul played really well, and they never went back to him. And when they drafted him, I remember Adam Peters calling him on the phone and saying, hey, you're going to help us on this offensive line somewhere, right? That somewhere I think is guard. Yeah. And if they change the entire scheme, now it's a zone run blocking scheme. It's a zone scheme. This should tailor towards his skill set a lot better than the gap scheme that they were running with Cliff. Even though they were running some zone, a lot of it was gap. This is more to the skill set of an athletic profile offensive lineman, which this offensive line features Laremy Tunsil, Sam Cosmi, Josh Conley Jr. And if you can add Brandon Coleman into that mix, all of those dudes are athletically gifted. Yep. Coleman has to find a way to win that job this summer and be the starting left guard and show that he is worthy of that 3rd round selection. So I think he's the 3rd guy that I would look to step up from that 2024 draft.
He has to stay healthy, right? Yep. Like he has to stay healthy. That hurt him his rookie year, right? That's why we had to get a lot of not Trent Scott. What's the other tackle that was splitting reps with the other
Cornelius guy? Lucas.
Lucas. So Corn. So so he has to stay healthy, right? I think Chris Paul went into free agency and thought he was going to get much more. Yep. than what he was offered. So he ended up coming back. So like I don't think he's a lock to be the starting left guy. I actually think that's going to be a competition.
Yep.
And I can't wait to see those guys at the joint practices, right? Where I think those jobs are won.
Yeah.
So I think that the 2024 class is important. And I like those three guys that you mentioned. I want to go to the defense a little bit, Louie. To the linebackers. Your memory and your historic understanding of this team dates farther than mine, right? And I don't even know how old you are. I just know you have more information. You have more up there than what I do. From top to bottom, is this the most athletic linebacker room we've ever had from top to bottom?
I don't know if I would say ever. We've had some athletic groups in the past. I would tell you though, it's up there. It's up there. It might be the most athletic. You got those LeVar Arrington teams in the early 2000s that had some athleticism on it with Marcus Washington. Yeah, like they were an athletic group, but those guys, I don't think they're like, even LeVar Arrington wasn't as athletic as Sonny Styles. So I think this probably is the most athletic group that we've ever seen at the position. And I'm so excited because we haven't had this in so long, right? You gotta go all the way back to probably London Fletcher is the last time we had a competent, middle linebacker. Like, not disrespect Bobby Wagner, but to say that you have a group that can fly around, like London was flying around. Right?
For sure.
When he was here, Bobby wasn't flying around. He was very measured and he knew how to take angles and understood what was going on. But we got dudes that can fly around now, right? And impose their will. And this linebacker group, I think, is going to be one of the keys to this defense being unlocked. I think getting pressure on the quarterback is going to be one of the biggest things. But you got to stop the run first, obviously. And we've got linebackers that can help you do that. We'll see. We got all kinds of, defensive linemen and different groups we can put out on the field, which to me is a massive positive. But ultimately, those linebackers, if they're kept clean, they're going to be, tasked with having to make tackles, make plays. You can drop into coverage. That was one of our biggest Achilles heels last year was oh my God, you put any running back, ISO them on Bobby Wagner, and
it's a wrap.
God bless and good night, right? You know what I mean? Like, it was terrible. So just knowing that we have guys that can run, and then you're not even thinking about a Jordan McGee. Yeah, this is the most athletic linebacker because you're thinking about Leo, you're thinking about Sonny, but Jordan McGee is an athlete too.
We don't even talk about him that much.
Don't even talk about him anymore, and that's crazy because he's
that's
still
all
in the
we
mix.
talked about last
year. That's it, because we didn't have any other speed. We had no more speed, right? So he's been put on the back burner now because we got all this speed all of a sudden and athleticism. So, like, Jordan McGee is still an athlete as well. So, this is the most athletically gifted linebacking core we've had.
And you would want to see all of that on the field at some point, right? And I know rotations are great, especially when you have guys that you can rotate that play at high levels, right? Because it's more so about you want to have your best five out there to close the game out, right? Because I think even when you think about like the NBA, as you go through all the season after the All-Star break, that 10-man end up being 8-9 man, right? You get closer to May, end up being 7-8 man. So that's how I think this we call pass rushes. If we can stay above water throughout the season, it's going to be more about who closes the game. But when it comes to rotations, when does it becomes, you're rotating too much?
Yeah. I think it all depends on the depth that you have. If you got guys that are getting after it and you're dudes that are coming off the bench are able to get you 5 or 6 sacks, hey, the fresher you are, like we watched the Seattle Seahawks win the Super Bowl last year. They had like a 6-man rotation up front of dudes who could just come at you in waves and get to the quarterback, right? It didn't have the one guy with 14.5 sacks. They had a bunch of guys with 5, 6, 7 that just came at you that could get to the quarterback. And if you got a group like that then you want to, that's your strength. It's the strength in numbers, right? The power is in numbers at that point. So that's what you want to utilize. But if you got guys that can get to the quarterback, then you want to kind of feature them. You know, there's this question about, because we used to have this discussion about Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen once upon a time when they were playing like 90% of the snaps. You're like, yo, that's a 300-pound defensive tackle. You sure you want him playing that many snaps? The question is, well, who are you putting on the field if you take him off the field? Is Deron Payne at 65% stamina better than, you know, Matt Ioannidis at 100%, you know what I'm saying, or 90%, or whomever that backup defensive tackle might have been. And, you know, the question that we used to ask ourselves was, are they hurting Deron and Jonathan Allen's production by not taking them off the field and giving them, you know, a little bit of a blow? Or, you know, are you hurting the team when you take them off the field because they're the best option? I think if you can keep guys fresh, that's always going to be your best way to do it. I just feel like you can't, you know how hockey has like whole line changes where like 5, 6 dudes come in at the same time. I don't think you can do that. And I hate it when they would do that with us last year, and particularly they would take all of the defensive linemen off the field at one time and just put in all the backups. I feel like you have to do it like how you do it in the NBA. There needs to be 1 or 2 dudes out there that can put the ball in the basket with the bench. You can't just put the whole bench out there at the same time. And so I think there needs to be a mixing and matching of the parts. Like they would just put Jacob Martin, Von Miller, Johnny Newton, and all of those dudes on the field at the same time. And I'm like, that ain't the way to go about it. You know what I mean? Like keep Deron out there, keep one of the pass rushers out there, Dorrance, and then you can put in Jacob Martin and, you know what I'm saying, filter in some of these other dudes, but don't put all of them in at the same time.
And I think that's the good thing about this defense, especially the front seven, how much depth there is, right? Like, and having guys that, like, I hate the word position flex, but you have like guys that are versatile that can play at high levels at different positions, right? That's what I think the difference is between position flex and a player having versatility. And that's what we have. Like one player, like you say, one player might be this much better, but the next guy's not that far off as it was in previous seasons. Like if you having a bad game or you do something stupid, like you can't come to the side and be like, well, I ain't going out. Who else you gonna put in? Like we don't have that. Like like nah, come on, sit down, go in there, settle. Like Payne ain't acting right. You know what I'm saying? So I think that part of the depth on the front seven is what you need, especially if you're trying to build some momentum to get to the playoffs.
Facts. I think that's the part of the defense that has me the most excited is the interchangeable parts. We got guys that can allow you to play different styles, right? Somebody wants to try to, you know, go 12 or 13 personnel and try to play smash mouth. Well, we got big enough personnel up front where we can match that and say, okay, we can stop that if that's what y'all trying to do. Like the Eagles, for instance, you know they want to run the football. We can put bigger personnel on the field to combat that if we need to. Whereas if you play a team that wants to spread you out and throw the football, we can, you know, put some faster guys on the field that can try to get after the quarterback and make life hell for them doing that. So it feels like we can match up to whatever it is, the offense. And I remember, you know, I think it was Frankie who said, we're going to dictate to the offense what's being done, not the other way around. And that is how you want to play defense. You don't want to sit on your heels and wait. Like Durante says, you don't want to play catch all the time, right? You want to be able to go and dictate what's going on. And I think we're now in a position that instead of us being, you know, reactive all the time, we can be proactive on the defensive side of football.
And we all know this look, right? Like this look right here from the booth. This look right this from the booth. Yeah. Like that's the look. He trying to wait to see what they about to send out there instead of just putting your defense out there, right? To dictate to them what you're trying to do, right? That's a great point. So I got 2 more questions for you, Louie T. Like an all NFL question. As far as safeties are concerned, do we need to get out of the mindset of a free safety and a strong safety because they are now beginning to be more and more interchangeable between the two?
Yeah, absolutely. That started a while ago where they talked about rocking and rolling. You want your safeties to be able to rock and roll, meaning you want them to be able to play up on the line of scrimmage and play back. So your free safety used to be your traditional, middle of the field close, cover three, guy that can get to, each sideline, have that speed. Wasn't the biggest, wasn't the most physical guy. And your box safety was much bigger, the Jeremy Chin type, physical big guy, hit you, not necessarily the best range, and the further away he gets from the line of scrimmage, the more vulnerable he is and susceptible to, being out of place. But as we've seen the NFL evolve with all these tight ends, with the evolution of the tight end and all these guys that are just weapons on the offensive side, you got to have guys that can do everything. And so this whole notion of, free and strong safety, I think that's out the window now. Your free safety has to be able to come down in the box, fill, voids and run the alley. Your strong safety has to be able to get depth away from the line of scrimmage. If he has to jump over the slot and cover the tight end, and so be it, and run with him. It's just these offenses are too advanced now to have guys that can only do one thing. And so I think you're seeing these three safety lineups, you're seeing teams putting these safeties on the field that, like I said, can rock and roll. And I think that's what you're going to see here, because I know Nick Cross is more of a strong safety, a guy that is down in the box, but I think he also has free safety qualities as well.
Yeah. On the other side of the ball, how do you see this running back room playing out?
So running back is going to be one of the more intriguing positions, because to me, the X factor of that group is Bill. He's the one guy that provides speed with that group. And if you don't have Bill back there, I think it's an ordinary group. It turns into a John Legend running back room. It's just ordinary people at that point, dudes. You know what I'm saying? I need Bill to be what we thought he was going to be after that Chargers game last year, because if Fat Man is cool, but Fat Man don't have no other gear. He's a monotone runner.
Yeah.
He don't have no other gear. Now he's physical. He breaks arm tackles. He leans forward. He's going to be great in short yardage, but he ain't breaking off no 40, 50-yard runs. Right. Rashad White is an all-purpose guy that I think we're going to throw the ball to out of the backfield. I think he's going to be a dynamic pass catcher for us. He's going to fill that Austin Eckler role, but he also doesn't have a gear that goes past third gear. He doesn't have a fourth or a fifth gear. So again, you're stuck with a solid run game, but it doesn't have that oomph. It doesn't have that game-changing capability. That's what Bill brings to the table. If he's healthy, if he's holding on to the ball, more importantly, I think the opportunities in this scheme where, you press, stick your foot in the ground, cut back lane, and all of a sudden there's a big gaping hole for you to exploit. I think there's going to be opportunities for Bill to hit that home run like we saw against Dallas on Christmas Day last year. That's what the run game's been missing. Think about Jaden Daniels' 2 years here and how many times he's been afforded a big run by a running back. Yeah. And you think about that, and the answer is,
I mean, look how excited he was last year with Bill. He tried to block in front of him, jumping up and down, running behind him.
Yeah, look, man, it's just we don't get that very, very often. You talking about the Chargers game when he was blocking for him.
Yeah,
you don't get, he doesn't get that very often. So I think Bill is the guy that can provide that for us. It's a good group. I think depth-wise, it's a really good group. I would argue it's better than the group last year from a depth perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
But again, the high-level talent at the top, it starts and ends with Bill. And if he's not capable of carrying the workload, it could be tough on that running back group.
And in the room out, do you think it's Allen, Ford, McNuggets, McNichols? Do you think that's the competition for the last two stats, or do you just think it's McNichols and Ford, and Allen is automatic?
I think Allen is absolutely on the squad.
Right? Yeah, that's what
you don't have to worry about that. Like we know the three guys that are already on the squad already. So the question then becomes like, are they keeping 4? Which is a big question. And if they are keeping 4 to McNichols, right? McNick, I just feel like that's comfort for them. Like that's a guy they love on special teams. That's a guy that they know they can trust to put in pass protection. That's a guy that they know he'll catch it out of the backfield. That's a guy that they trust, right? Ford is going to have to do something superhuman, or something has to happen to McNick this offseason to where Ford gets that opportunity, or else I think they lean on the guy that they trust. They love Jeremy McNichols, and they know what they're getting from him. He's a known commodity. So they're going to keep 4. I think he's your 4th back. But they may choose to keep 3. And you know that we probably can get away with putting McNichols on the practice squad and pulling him up on game days, et cetera. But we'll see. It's a lot of interesting discussions about this roster and the numbers game. Like, how many do you keep here? Do you keep 3 tight ends or 4? Do you keep 3 running backs or 4? Do you keep 6 linebackers? Or do you
I tried to do the edge rushes and ends yesterday. I just gave up and I just did another position.
I'm telling you, it's going to be a lot of fun to see how all of this. And then we don't even know how some of these guys are going to perform this summer.
Exactly.
They might come out and kill it. You know what I mean? And make the discussion even more interesting.
That's what's going to be crazy. Louie T, man, this has been an honor, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today, bro.
And no doubt, man. Anytime. I appreciate you having me come on, Deuce, man.
For sure, man. Let everybody know, with everybody that watch my channel already know how to follow. But because I like to do the troll thing sometimes, like during downtime. So I had fun with the 49er thing. Yeah. So I've gained a few followers from them. So if you want them following you, go ahead and put your socials out there.
Hey. I appreciate it, Deuce, man. First of all, you a funny ass dude. I gotta tell you that. I be dying off of your skits and stuff, bro. So
appreciate that, man.
No doubt, man. So you can find me on YouTube, Louie T Network. You can find me on IG, Louie T Network _. You can find me on X at Louie T Network. Basically, you type in Louie T Network wherever, you're gonna find me.
For sure.
But I appreciate you having me on, man, and looking forward to having a great season.
Oh, bro. Man, so am I. Appreciate you, man.
No doubt, man. Appreciate you.
All right, man. Peace.
Take it easy.
That was Louie T. Next, get my man Mitch in the building. Let me see. What's good, man?
Goose, what's up, boy? What's up, Slim?
Man, chilling, man. How you been?
Man, just working, keeping my eyes on these Commanders, hoping they don't mess up anything, man. We got some momentum, man. We can't afford to lose, go backwards right now, man.
Man, not at all, man. So let's get right into it and let's talk about Jaden real quick, right? Like I have 5 fever, right? FEVER. I have 5 fever. And he can't do no wrong, right? He can't do no wrong with me. Like, don't even try, right? Like, I'm not listening. I'm not listening to none of it.
Right.
What he's doing right now with these, what's interesting about them working out together in California, that it wasn't just like Terry and Diami and Luke, but it was even fullbacks, tight ends, the guys that's definitely going to be on the practice squad. Like, he had all of those guys out there. What type of leap as a leader are you expect for him to take this upcoming year?
I mean, for me, man, just Jaden coming out was spectacular. Watching him, at LSU, you could see, like, just cut on any game. The dude was electric. You know what I mean? And you come in, guns blazing, and then the second year, right, you get some adversity. You get to, really feel that NFL welcome. You know what I mean? So now, I feel like where he's at mentally, and I don't want to speak for him. I'm sure they'll have interviews, and he's already on Netflix right now. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Dissecting all of that stuff right now. But I just feel like, that failure, it really got to him. You know what I mean? And I don't consider it like failure of his career. I know outside fans, they're gonna want to deem him, you know, he's out of it. He was a one-hit wonder, but you know, that's the character you need. You know what I mean? Like he needs to go through that. And now you see now, like he's on hush. He's not saying much. You know what I mean? Like he's working. Every time you see Jaden, he's working. He's either getting money, right?
Getting money, yeah. That's true. Know? That's fact.
Yeah. He's either picking up a bag, getting money, finding a new endorsement, sponsorship, or he's getting the work on the field. And one thing I do like to what your point was, he's bringing his guys with him, because a real leader understands that without the people around me being successful, no matter what you say all the time, I can't raise your ceiling, bro.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like I could only, all I could do is get the ball to you on time. And at the minimum, that's what we're doing right now is I'm making sure you guys are on time. So he looks serious, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what that looks like, man. I'm excited for training camp. These 2024 draft picks, I think this is a big year for most of them. But who do you think needs to have the biggest year as far as their career is concerned? Because going into year 3, we know how the NFL, they're right at that point where that life expectancy in the NFL hits, and these guys have to show more than what they have.
I got 2 for you, and one that's like, you know, maybe an outlier, but Luke.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, Luke, what we pick him in the 3rd round? He was like a second,
the last pick of the 3rd. Yep.
So you didn't really get that many reps the first year, right? You had a couple guys in front of you, rotation. You're the rookie. You know, they gave you some reps, gave you some targets. I think he got under double digits. He was single digit targets, right? Single digits. And then he like, hey, you got to work for this. You're not gonna, you know, you're not even. You wasn't a top 10 prospect. You're not a 1st round prospect. Like
you just started playing wide receiver too.
Yeah, like literally, like you were at Rice. Just you know, you were quarterback converted, anyways. But to get back on track, right? I feel like that 2nd year, there was a lot of promise with Luke, right? Yeah. So when you start seeing that promise with Luke, like, okay, you have some value. You can return the ball, right? Yeah. And then also when our guys went down, you were our leading wide receiver. And I know people like, you know, you talk to fans, they're like, come on, man, Luke, y'all got to be serious. It's a nepo, you know, nepotism and all that. Bro, like, look at the dynamic of the team, right? When things went down, they were leaning on Luke. So when you come into this 3rd year, Luke, I need you to solidify your position. And right now, in that wide receiver room with all the questions tarrying them, there's a lot of people watching one group specifically, that wide receiver group. Everybody got their eyes because, look, a lot of people got 5 fever. So if a lot of people got 5 fever and 5 not taking off, who you think they blaming?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So that's one of my year 3 guys. And then the other one is Brandon Coleman, right? Because I feel like with Brandon Coleman, he got that upside, that body, that strength. And coming in the 1st year, like you held it down for the most part. Maybe the statistics, if you dive a little bit in the statistics, you know, you might see some chinks in Brandon Coleman's armor. But hey, shit, we went to the NFC Championship game and Brandon Coleman was he was on that line. Yeah. He was on that line. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I know he's dealing with some stuff banged up. But I'm looking for him to really solidify because the only competition he has is what? Allegretti and Chris Paul?
Yeah, Chris
Paul, right?
Yeah, Chris Paul.
And Chris Paul got that job because you wasn't healthy, bro. So, you know, it's not like they signed him to any big contract. Like he went out, ain't nobody want him, and he
right.
So that's my second. And then my outlier would be what? Javonte Jean-Baptiste.
Oh boy, he got a long. Man,
listen, you got a long way to go, brother. Because they brought in some dogs,
right?
That, and you know, I added Mikey, but I'm sure Mikey will get a segment from everybody.
But that's the thing. That's the interesting thing with Jean-Baptiste because like he has a long rope to climb, right? They brought in two guys that got starter reps in the playoffs, right? Owe, you got Chase on. They brought in Omeniu who can play that edge also, and then you getting back Dorrance Armstrong. So like it's a long rope to climb, and his injuries ain't helping him. Right, his injuries ain't helping him at all. Last year, man, we had so many, but that was a year where he could have kind of solidified himself. But as we seen with free agency, like they didn't do anything. He wasn't on their mind when they went in free agency, right? Like they not like, oh nah, we got John Baptiste at home, we good. Nah, no, we don't. Right? He might not even make the team. Right? That's the crazy thing about it. Who are you most excited about at linebacker? Because we know we ain't get your guy that you want.
Man, look, right? If you can't get my guy, you gotta get his dog. So that's why I was like, if I can't get Arvell Reese, because I thought, when we go into these off-season talks, draft prospects, everybody's got their guy. And I got a lot of slack, like, oh, why do you like Arvell Reese? Listen, man, you seen his combine.
Yeah.
You seen it. And you seen what towards halfway through the college season, this dude had so many. He was pretty much the best linebacker outside of Sonny. Yeah. So I mean, I'm excited for Sonny because I know the only reason Arvell could play that way was because he had, on the strong side, he was weak side and he had the strong side, and the strong side was Sonny Styles, and he allowed you to like, all right, yo, don't worry about it. You just go do your thing and I'll hold down the fort here. So, man, I'm excited for Sonny. I'm excited for Leo, Chanel as well. I think the addition, I feel like those two guys playing Mike and Sam, I think, the speed and the size, they kind of like, they go together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I understand Louvu, he has the tenure with the team. You know what I mean? But I don't really see Louvu as that guy. You know what I'm talking? I don't see him as like the staple of the defense. I see him as more of like the piece, like a moving piece.
Yeah, because I think you're right? Like I think he's 30, gonna be 31, something like that. So of course he's not like the future, right? But he's absolutely a piece in that you need on that defense. Because like I don't know what happened last year, but what's true is he was still around the football, but he was missing tackles, he was over pursuing, he was taking bad angles. Like, but he still had like most of his thing to me, it looked mental, right? It didn't look physical, it was mostly mental. When you go back and you look at him and you watch some of the tape, like it's more mental. So hopefully, like he looks more engaged, right? They say he looks more engaged this year. And I don't know, like I don't know about last year, right? Like I just don't know. And that goes for the whole team. But if we're able to get like 70% of what we got from Lulu in 2024, just add him to this roster, and he might not start, but just getting 70% of him like coming off as a sixth man that you can just put all over the line of scrimmage and send him on blitzes, like that's absolutely up when it comes to these linebackers.
And when you mention that, it always just brings my thought and the train of mind back to Durante Jones, right? Because depending on how you use these guys, and in his presser, he talked a lot about putting guys in position of what their strengths are, but that still doesn't mean to put guys in positions where they're uncomfortable, where they could grow. You know what I mean? And I feel like Frankie at this point in his career, like I don't know how much more you could get from him at this point in his career, because I think 2024, if you get another season like that with Frankie, I mean, you would be satisfied, would you not?
Yeah, for sure.
Like if you could get that from Frankie, what did he have, like 7 sacks, something around?
Yeah, he was all pro. That's all that matters.
Yeah, he's second
but him and Bobby was leading at one point.
Yeah, so if you could get that production with Frankie, where he doesn't necessarily need to be on the field all the time, right? So when you bring Frankie in, you get that fast, downhill attacking Frankie, instead of what you're saying, like, oh, read and react. That's not who Frankie Louvu is.
Right.
And you don't need him to be that, right? You got Sonny Styles there. You got Leo Chanel there. Like you got those guys that could be rangy. You know, they could play horizontally and they could play vertically, and they have the size to cover if you need them to drop back, right? Luvu's a little undersized, is he not? What is he like? What he's not that small. He's like he's a little bit.
Small, but he's like on the shorter side. Yeah,
Yeah, because you know now that you have Sonny, you got a prototypical, you know, Mike linebacker. He make everybody look.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, man, definitely. And you know, we got Kane Madrano. That's another guy, right? What we get him last year?
Yeah. Lou 6'3".
Yes, so you know,
yeah, he's a big guy. Like all of those guys are kind of big, and that's the thing. Like they're so athletic, right? And we don't even talk about Joe McGee. I think he's up there too. Like we only talk about. We haven't even talked about McGee that much this offseason. That's all we talked about last year, right? And that's something we have. We're so athletic in that linebacker room that I am very intrigued to see how Durante is going to kind of employ these guys, because you have guys that can do different things. Some guys are more advanced, but you don't have to force anything, right? And that's the good thing. If you need something done that you know that this is not this player's strength, I got somebody else on the bench I can bring in and do that, right? And I think that's going to help the players develop also. So when it comes to these tight ends, right? Chig, Bates, our boy Sennett, and the other dude that's always somehow finding his name, is finding himself on the field. I'm not saying his name. And then you got the model, right? When it comes to this tight end room, how confident are you guys, or do you think it's just like is Chig, right? Bates has a role. He's getting paid way more for this role that he has, but I am not expecting anything more from him. How you feeling about this tight end room?
I would say as a unit, right? It's very similar to the wide receiver room, right? You got this guy, you know, you got your 1A, and then you know you got a bunch of gadget guys surrounding this, you know, all around talent. So for me, right, when you look at Chig, I was very high on Chig. Outside of, I think the only other in free agency, the only other tight end that I was interested in was Isaiah Likely, right? So, you know, those were the top two for me, where, you know, you got a guy with Chig's side and his speed, right? Coming out of mirror, like he's fast, you know, like, and he's shifty, like he could get some yak. Right. But can I say the same thing for Ben Sinnott? Can I say the same thing for John Bates? I don't know. I know for me, watching John Bates, you know, with that 12 personnel, you would want a John Bates on the 12 personnel, you know what I mean? And then you would want to have you could utilize Bates, and he has some decent. He's a big dude, man. That dude he like 6'6", something like he's big, man. And you know when you're trying to run the ball and you're under shotgun, you're gonna need some size on that line of scrimmage. You know, so I could definitely see Bates. For me, it'll probably be Bates and Chig, where the pass option go to Chig and the run the blocking assignment go to Bates. But it's a block and release, you know, depending on which side. If Jaden want to, you know, audible which side, you know what I mean. So you have options there where you don't have to just, you know, have something set in stone. The question for me is Ben Sinnott, because when I see him, where did he go? Kansas State, right? When I watched the Kansas State tape, I seen somebody who could be a John Bates with better hands, you know, that could block and also get that 40-yard, 50-yard, you know, get vertical. You know, Ben Sinnott could get vertical. Have we seen Ben Sinnott get vertical?
I've seen it once, maybe. I think
it was like sideline. He had like a nice little sideline catch. Yeah. But you know, that's the thing right there is can Bates get vertical? I mean, can Sinnott get vertical? Because you know, if Sinnott could get vertical now, like when I listen to you talk about Sinnott, you put him in that H-back role where he could, you know, traditional fullback look, and then he could block and release, and now you got more options for Jaden. You know what I mean? Yeah. Depending on if you send, like, if the defense sends somebody, okay, if they send somebody, okay, Sinnott, you sit here and block. But if they don't send nobody, all right, Sinnott, you could release. You know what I mean? While still having Bates and Chig. So how David Blau constructs it, I want to see an upside of Ben Sinnott because what I've seen from that Kansas State tape, he can do it, right? Was Cliff's system the best system for Ben Sinnott in the air raid system? He doesn't have speed to get, yeah, he doesn't have that speed to get down the field 10, 15 yards, off of Jaden's fourth, fifth step. Like, come on, man. What did he run? Like a 4.8? Like, he's not getting depth.
Let me ask you this: when it comes to the running back room, do you think there's a battle at RB1, or do you think it's Bills and then White is just going to be that all-purpose back, and then you got Allen to come in to be the short yardage guy?
I definitely think, Deuce, at first I want to be a homer and I want to say Bill, like I want to say Bill. I've seen him, went to games. I met him in person at a rally and I told him, I'm like, hey man, my franchise has some great running backs. If you look at our history of running backs, we got some bad dogs, some bad boys. But I do like Bill, but I think with Bill, where he lacks is where Rashad is more versatile at. Yeah. So depending, and all this is subject to change because think about it, we got Philly the first game. So really they're going to be thinking about it like who's going to be more productive against Philly, right? And that's the question I have to ask myself going into the week one. Do I think it's going to be Rashad or do I think it's going to be Bill? I mean, I would love it to be Bill. I just think Rashad does more. And watching him on the Bucs last season, you know what I mean? Like when even before Bucky Irvin got to the Bucs, he was their guy. You know what I mean? Right. So I mean, a lot of people outside of our fan base think like it's a no-brainer. Rashad White's going to be RB1. But as more connected into the fan base, they'll say it's Bill.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to let you know, Cowboys got another convict on the team. They just
who did they grab?
No, I mean the dude Charles Snowden that they signed from the Raiders. He suspended the first 3 games. So
oh my God,
it got to be like 10 years in a row they had somebody suspended. But yeah, man. Before we get up out of here, when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. And these cornerbacks and safeties, are you more confident in the safety room and the cornerback room, or how do you think they're going to work hand in hand?
Dude, I'm going to be real with you. From the first time when this new regime came, I never trusted them cornerbacks. I never trusted the defensive backs as a unit. I mean, it's hard, man. Those guys play the toughest position, and there's so much at stake for them. You know what I mean? I really, with them, I don't want to be too critical. Do I like Nick Cross? Yeah. Is Nick Cross is he gonna whip on some plays? Yeah. It's gonna happen. Like he's not gonna have like perfect games all the time. Quan Martin, have I seen, Quan Martin at his best? Yeah. Have I seen him at his lowest? Yeah. And that's just a position, right? Like playing cornerback, playing DB, like you're gonna win some. And you're gonna lose some, and I promise you, when you lose those reps, your people will never forgive you for those
facts.
For those reps. I do like Rasul Douglas. I've watched, I watched some of his tape, and I checked, some of his prior years. He seems like a ball hawk. I mean, I don't want to say I'm too high on him because I was high on Marshawn when the trade happened, and you seen what happened to Marshawn, so. Very cautious, I would lean more on my pressure and my, the size that I got at linebacker to really not like dictate the game more than having my defensive backs dictate the game because that's not the recipe at all. Like we want those guys to maybe cover for maybe 3 to 5 seconds, and just, ease up because they could get dunked on at any point.
Sheesh. It's gonna be nasty out there for sure. Mitch, man, as always, I appreciate your support, man, holding it down, man. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate you taking the time to join it. But look like we're gonna have a good year this year, man. We got the Wizards, you got the Caps, Ovi coming back. You got Wood, you got Jaden. I don't know, man. DC supposed to be back, man. We got some young dudes in each one of those leagues, man.
We got them youngins, man. They ready, man. I'm just happy, like after all this time watching some bad ball, bad hoops, man, we got some shit going on, man. Good Wizards ball, good Commanders ball. You know, look, if you are outsider and you ain't really been, part of this, like you just crying and like, bro, I've seen the worst, so I'm having a great time. Regardless,
right. The struggle was real.
Time, man.
Yeah, it's good to see some type of light.
Yeah.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
All right, Mitch, man. Appreciate you for coming through, man.
All right, Deuce, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me, man.
For sure, man. Peace.
Raise hell.
All day. All right, let's see what we got. My man Maul, Trap or Dive Podcast. What's good, homie? How you been, man?
I'm muted. What's up with it, Deuce?
Yeah,
how you feeling, bro?
I'm feeling good, man. Chilling, man. How you been, man? Everything been good?
Man, hectic. It's been a hectic summer, bro. But taking these little recess to talk football is a healthy distraction.
For sure.
Yeah.
Tape. Maul, you do a wonderful job breaking down tape, especially on a lot of these our new signings that we had since free agency. I watch it, I get a better understanding of what they can bring to this team. Specifically, I want to talk about the defensive side and the pass rushers. I am really high on Chason, right? I think he's going to have a big impact on this team. But can you tell me more about the strengths and weaknesses of Chason and Oway? Because I want to know, who do you think is going to have the bigger year?
Well, you hope is Oway.
Yeah, the 100 millions, right?
Yeah. You hope it's Oway. And I think even from just a upside standpoint, he's entering a year. He's entering a period of his career where the stuff that Baltimore and Los Angeles banked on, you're hoping to see a little bit more consistency out of him, right? I like Clavon. I really focus more on Oway this offseason, but like just understanding like what Clavon brings, and just from a pass rush standpoint, that part is set in stone. You're not necessarily looking at a person who's going to dominate or hold his weight consistently in the run game. But at the same time, you get a person who can come in and who's motivated. By the way, he signed a 1-year deal. It's not like somebody who is on a 2-year, 3-year thing. He bet on himself, but he also made it clear like why he was here, and it had a lot to do with Jaden. Respect. But you're talking about a person who is really more so coming in as a specialist. He has a role. I don't think that Washington is going to, or Durante is going to see him play all 3 downs, but more so like have that if it was Von Miller, I'm not comparing the players, but if Von Miller was in this same role this year, like that's what his snap counts would look like. It's like, let's get him in on these roles where we can make sure that he has an ability to rush the passer. It's an obvious passing down or a passing situation. We're going to make sure that Clavon gets that opportunity. Oway, on the other hand, you're betting on him from an upside standpoint. It's like, all right, we need him to play all 3 downs. We don't want him off the field at all. There's going to be a rotation, but if we can keep him on the field as many times as possible, that's what it's going to look like for him. And I think for Oway, while he's not necessarily the strongest in the run game, that's going to be where he has that room to develop. But at the same time, like he has these moments where, he can hold his own against bigs and still make like those base blocks or kickouts or something some things to that effect. But his bang is going to be in that pass game, bro. It's all about rushing the passer, and ultimately, Oway, from a straight line standpoint, I love it. His initial quickness, his burst is there. But like he don't really have a bend. And I don't know if that's a bad thing. Well, you get knocked for it. Like you always gonna get knocked for something. If you ain't got the band, you ain't going. It's
that's
something
all
that
we know
is
now
just
is Ben.
exactly. But at the same time, like he does come across as stiff. Like he doesn't really have like the hip flexibility. But at the same time, like in straight line situations, like that's where that 4-3 comes in. Like it'll close the space quickly. Like there's not going to be a quarterback who gets in or who escapes the pocket and has enough time to throw the ball if Oweh is pursuing them. Pass rush moves is there, but still room to grow. But like I do like from his standpoint, like the toolbox that he's starting with coming into Washington versus like somebody who was Oweh, who was probably like 2 or 3 seasons ago. He needed a little bit of work, but now you're in a situation where like he has something to work with. Straight line speed is there. He's gonna have issues like bending that corner, but like once he's able to line up and get his eyesights with that quarterback, it's a game changer.
When it comes to Settle, how big of an acquisition do you think Settle was, especially for like Payne and Johnny?
Well, I mean, I love the addition of Settle. I think what's frustrating is Deron John when he was here, so we're talking about 2024. Somebody and obviously Johnny Newton, like they've all had rotations like in that 0-1 tag, like in between the center and the guard, over top of the center. They've all had those rotations, those moments where they had opportunities to like take on these double teams or win these one-on-ones inside like the interior offensive and defensive line. And it's just frustrating because like you just know like none of these guys fit. Like these guys are like quickness, slashers, they penetrate.
Right.
And Johnny Newton for sure. Like there's not that many times where I'm sitting here tolerating Johnny Newton, who's undersized and having to take on double teams, combo blocks. And granted, you can't avoid it if you're a defensive tackle. Like you can't avoid that. But like, can you limit it?
You should be able to. Yeah.
It's only 2 ways to limit it. One, you make sure you put him in situations where, again, he's a situational player and he's rushing the passer. Or 2, you don't trust him at all to get him on the field, and you don't want that for going on to his 3rd year now. So that's kind of like the nuance with Newton in a Payne, and Payne is a little bit more experienced. He's developed the play strength over the couple of years where he can hold it down if he has to. Doesn't mean it's going to look good all the time, but that's why you get Tim Settle, a role player who's predominantly over top of the center or in between that guard and center. Like he can hold it down right there. And I think what's also beneficial for Tim is like he's not like a pass specialist, but he can get you some type of production in the pass rush game. Like he doesn't have to get off the field if he's playing in that close to the football. So like I'm interested to see what it looks like in Washington. But Tim was a guy that I really liked having that second opportunity here in Washington. But like he's learned a lot playing from Buffalo and Houston and those defenses, being able to come back here in the second go and like I like what I'm seeing. So
Josh Conley going into his second year, because obviously outside of Washington, the national media, when you look at these O-line rankers, they have us mid-20s, something like that. Do you think that's justified if you look at each one of these guys and what they gave us last year?
Well, I did like what I saw from Josh, but like if you had to watch this tape from start to finish, there were some things that you just had to it's like understanding a relationship that you in, bruh. Whether it's friendship or with the wife or a girlfriend, it's just some things you just know ain't ever going to change. Yeah. And you got to make these compromises, bruh. Yeah. And it's like either you with it or you out. And with Conley, I think early on. Now, granted,
And look, you know what's so funny, Mo? Let's just go there real quick, right?
yeah,
When my wife, when we first got married, I like to put the forks up in the strainer. I mean, down. I like to put them down because I don't want to cut myself down, right? She likes to put them up. So that went off about a week and a half. Like, I mean, we just get back from honeymoon and all that. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna. This could be the first time I'm trying. This is going to work, right? I'm going to take low, and ever since then, I've been keeping forks up, and it hasn't been no problem. I just thought about it when you just said that, so you're absolutely right.
Yeah, bro. It's just some things you look at and you're like, you know what, bro? Look, the bigger picture is working, right?
Right,
and
exactly.
You ain't trying to ruin the bigger picture. and I look at Connerly, and I just see some ugly wins. And this is this is rookie season, so like we're taking all that in context. Like I just saw some ugly wins, and when people looked at Connerly statistically, like the advanced essence says, he hasn't given up a pressure or like he hasn't given up a sack in X amount of games or X amount of reps, and I'm like, well, I mean, sure, but I mean, are you watching? And like that is a slight criticism to him, but it's also like a node or an ode to like the quarterback who's doing a hell of a job as well. It's not necessarily like I gotta protect my right tackle. It's more so just like they're seeing and getting the ball out quick, or they're rolling away from the pressure, and like all, those things are really good. So Connerly though, I think the biggest thing for him is developing like functional strength to where like he can take on these anchors and also technique where he can learn and trust, because like he doesn't seem comfortable taking on anchors, right? Like he's done it here and there, but like more times than not, he doesn't look really good like settling in and finding like that solitude in the ground and just standing there and trying to hold up against those bull rushers and those power rushers. So I think that's one of his biggest things that he had to work on, but also like the natural bending at the waist, like he lunged a lot. And that caught him out of position plenty of times. But like I said, towards the end, he got better, but it was still ugly wins. But when I say ugly wins, is like that pressure really did, like the pressures and the sacks, excuse me, more so pressures. Like that stuff really did decrease, but it's like, you know, if the quarterback did one wrong thing or held the ball a second, then we talk about Connerly still getting in trouble. So I think it's really good that Tunsil and has like very clearly took him under his wing.
For sure.
And I think like you have no better opportunity as a year two and even rookie offensive lineman to learn from one of the best to ever do it in your generation. And really get that tutelage firsthand, but also off-season practices where you going to where he's his home base and learning from him there. And that's a long-winded answer, but you started with Connerly, but the offensive line altogether, I don't think it's unfair to say top 20 or wherever they were, and specifically, I think it's important to realize like you have question marks at center and you have question mark at left guard. Like, and I mean, honestly, after that whole thing, you got question mark at right tackle. So like you got three places where you got to make sure that like they are solidified in terms of like production standpoint. They're solidified when the season comes along. They didn't go after anybody after they missed out on bro that went to the Raiders.
Linderbaum.
Linderbaum. Thank you. They said, you know, we're going to settle with Allegretti. And that's a comfort space for them. They know him. They know his background, but it's also like you went for Linderbaum. And granted, he is like an ultimate like playmaker. He is a dog at center. Like if the opportunity presented to you, whether it's in free agency or the draft, I would bet that you would have took a center if you had the opportunity. And granted, they did. They took one. So I think that's pretty evident. Like they're going with Allegretti, but at the same time, like you gotta find a way to get better. And they're not 100% all in on Allegretti, but that's who's going to be starting. Left guard, Chris Paul and Brandon Coleman. Same thing. Like Chris Paul did a really good job. And actually earned himself a really good opportunity in free agency, right? But he decided to come back. And I think for a Chris Paul, somebody who can continue developing and learning here in Washington, this is somebody where like those two are going to be battling, but the question marks still remain. Like, how much better can they be in year 3 with Jaden? But also, like, can this offensive line protect him? And can they get a ground game going where it's like it's not primarily quarterback designs, quarterback scrambles? And I know that they did a really good job last year. Chris Rodriguez, Krosky Merritt, etc. But it got to be consistent. This is a whole new regime, a whole new offense. And you're gonna have to find a way to really get a ground game going to help out Jaden. And I think that'll help determine like where rankings, right or wrong, down the line.
How you think it's going to help them? Not them specifically, just like overall the offensive line. How do you think that helps them in a West Coast offense?
Well, I really just on the coordinator standpoint, pre-snap motions, the athletic ability of your offensive line, the alignments, post-snap movement, like all of those things where you can like have these move pieces really to get the defense flowing one way or another. I think that helps you create different pockets. And when I mean different, I mean like you can set a pocket slightly to the left, slightly to the right. You can reset the pocket outside of the offensive tackle, whether it's the left tackle or the right tackle, off your bootlegs and stuff like that. So all of those things like matter in terms of trying to help out offensive linemen. And Cliff done it to an extent when he was here. Like every coordinator does it. But I think in terms of what's really going to help that offensive line, you got to get the ground game involved much more, which I think David Blau's intention is like that's what he wants to do. Like the more intentional you are with the run game and incorporate it into your offense, the better your offensive line can play in terms of like how a defense respects you, the amount of people who are in a box, and even like where that safety lines up, because at the end of the day, it's going to be the quarterback versus the safety or safeties. And depending on like the success of the run game that day or the reputation that you have heading into a game week and the preparation that the coordinator has for you, like all of these things are all going to play a part. But I think ultimately, like, especially with questionable pieces right now and on July 14th, like I think all of these elements being able to offset what could be, because you don't want 6 people rushing the passer, 7 people rushing the passer. Like it's all of these things that's going to have to play parts, and ultimately it's going to help with that pass protection. We're gonna see where it goes. I don't want to jump the gun. We're gonna see where it goes. Bro, it's hard, bro.
Yeah, because everything is new, and then you got an OC who's never done it before. You got a DC that's never done it before. I mean, the Ari interview was awesome. You know, he named all these different coaches and what this melting pot of offense is going to look like. But listen, the fact of the matter is it's going to take some time to get there, right? And the question is, do they have time? But one thing that he, even in this interview, he kind of mentions that, like, one thing that he's been 10 toes down is getting Terry more targets. Maul, is it too late? 10 plus targets?
That's actually another good point too with the offensive line. You get a person who can take the top off the defense. That DB group, they going back up.
That's true.
I don't know, bro. Like 10 targets, I don't think it's unrealistic. I think also too, I think that was also could have been just somebody who was hammering the point home of trying to make sure that Terry gets as many opportunities as possible, maximizing his opportunities within the game. And not necessarily blindly force feed him like he's Antonio Brown, prime Antonio Brown, Calvin Johnson, what's his name, Jamar Chase. Like you don't want to like just blindly force feed him.
Right.
But at the same time, I think when you look at what Terry can bring in a system like David Blau, and where you're not necessarily aligned from the pre-snap to the post-snap, you're not aligned always at the same spot. I think that's what makes anybody dangerous. I think that's what makes Terry, especially somebody like who can win in certain situations, he's starting to learn a little bit quicker. He's starting to learn to win a little bit quicker He was always being able to win at the snap. I mean, at the snap on slant routes in his releases. But like when you have like two-way options now, that the releases on your fades, the releases on your slants, the releases on your curls, but also like I would love to see what that route tree looks like from other. Like he has a route tree, we just ain't been able to really see it.
Right.
So I think that there is so many different elements that you can use to get Terry to football. And we didn't even talk about like screenplays. We didn't even talk about like crossers, and being able to put him like in a slot on a mismatch or put him at the Z, and things of that nature. So it's just so many different elements. I think that it is possible to see somebody find ways to get him the ball. It's more so just about like, can Blau stick to it?
Yeah.
Can he, like, it can't be lip service. Like everything has to be intentional. And I think that's honestly the real thing. Like everything has to be intentional. Can't just keep talking to people. Dude, find a way to get the job done.
Right. Because look, at some point, enough is enough. Because you come out there flat against the Eagles, this fan base is gonna turn on you real quick, Blau. So all the word soup sounds is very good right now, but you're gonna have to come out and you're gonna have to show it outside of Terry in that wide receiver room. And well, let me go back. Let me ask you this, Maul. When it comes to the passing game, how many guys do you need to walk into a Sunday and say, you know what, we got the guys we need to, if I'm 3rd and 8, I got guys that I can go to. I can draw this up. Like, how many of those guys do you need? Because the big thing is, we don't have a wide receiver 2, we don't have a wide receiver 3. Then you want to move Chig, the wide receiver. How like realistic is it really to be as deep as people want us to be in the wide receiver room?
All right, hold on. Side note, people have been saying Chig need to go to wide receiver.
No, people been calling him, because this is the thing. When you talk about like if your position is, we need to add to the wide receiver room, some people will come back and they'll say, well, Chig is our wide receiver too. So I'll say, listen, you can't rob Peter to pay Paul, right? But that's the thought process. So yeah, I mean, look, man, you've been out the country, or you've been out vacation, and so you done missed a lot, bro.
I think those are convenient excuses. Chig is a tight end. Granted, he is more stylistically favoring a wide receiver, right? He has true natural wide receiver instincts, and I think from that aspect, like, you will see Chig aligned as like your slot. He's flanked off the line of scrimmage, detached from the line of scrimmage. Like, you will see those situations where you don't see him in line, and that's kind of where Ben Sinnott or John Bates come in. Like, they're going to be your in line guys.
Yeah.
So like, I understand that. The wide receiver too, and just like understanding from the wide receiver or the receiving guys as a whole, you just got to understand who you have. Diami is your speed guy. Jalen Lane is a person who is clearly underdeveloped, but he's like your punt returner. So like, the value he currently has while he develops as a wide receiver, right? So it's going to be interesting to see like what he looks like. But in terms of defining like who your guys are, you got speed guys on the team. Is it enough? Like, I'm not saying that this is enough at all. Diami is an experienced receiver. That's somebody that you can put back in the fold, and you can count on him from that perspective. But don't know too much about Jalen Lane year 2. Luke McCaffrey's coming off a knee injury. I'm not necessarily labeling him as a speed guy, but it's somebody that they clearly love, and I'm irritated about that. And it's not just him. It's even Jalen Lane, because it's all surmising to the point of why they didn't go a little bit more aggressive in free agency. Granted, I do acknowledge Romeo Doubs. I'm glad they missed on Alec Pierce. Yeah, but Romeo Doubs, like, I understand they went after him. And maybe I'm being too harsh, because they went after some guys and they didn't hit. So I'll just leave it there.
Right.
But Antonio Williams, a guy who wins quick. When we talk about tight ends, what did they lose heading into free agency this year and even the draft? Zach Ertz. That's a guy, granted, he's old, but he won quick. He knew how to run routes. He knew how to get open. He knew how to create separation. That's everything that Antonio Williams does. And for Washington, who has a person who can move around the offense as well, probably gonna play slot mostly, may play some Z here and there, can flank, he can play behind the line of scrimmage. Like, that's a person where it's like, all right, depending on what he looks like in training camp, that's gonna be the coaches to find out. And even preseason, like, we're gonna see how we define your role going into the regular season based on how these elements and these situations you play in. Because if we can trust you early, we'll see somebody who can win quick. We see somebody who can rack up a bunch of those 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 4s, things of that nature, right? But in the meantime, we got to figure this whole group out. We know what Terry can do, but what can Antonio Williams do, right? Treylon Burks, I like him, and I like the thought of him being your number 2 guy,
right?
But we only know,
we don't know.
But such a limited opportunity that he had. And I liked what I saw, but the work is real now. The competition is real.
Yeah.
And everybody in that room, because you don't have a true number 2, it's a free for all. It's a free for all. So I don't know. I know Antonio Williams and I know what Terry brings to the table, but it's all about, like, how is everybody else going to kind of fit the mold in their projected roles. And even to that extent, Antonio Williams, when the pads do come on. But yeah, it's a question mark, bro. I don't think I'm too impressed with that receiver group, bro.
As safeties, like, what's your thought, like, NFL wise, when it comes to the safety? Do you think that's more of a positionless group now? Like, you got, guys that could play both. So from what I'm used to back in the 90s, you had your free safety, you had your strong safety. That's just what it was. Because, like, the thought process for us, our only true safety that we got is Percy Butler, right? Like, he ain't right? he ain't getting out there, right? So what do you see? How do you see this safety room kind of shaking out?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a good point about positionless. You can even see it with Washington over the last couple of years under Dan Quinn. Quan Martin played strong. He played free, your post. You had who the guy that they signed last year that came from New Orleans? Will Harris, appreciate you. Yeah, he did the same thing. He started at strong, got hurt, then he had some reps at as your post. Like, they trying to figure things out, but it's not exclusive to this them. I think Nick Cross is probably going to be, like, the one who actually has a defined role, which is a good thing. Because, like, that's what he had. Now, granted, if they end up having him play other places, that's a failure for the team. But, like, what he brings to the table at the line of scrimmage, in the box, right? He does have good coverage skills, but he primarily roams in that first and second level. So I think having defined roles as safeties is going to be really good. Tyler Owens is probably like the wild card. Tyler Owens in a sense specifically because Tyler and I can't believe I said his name. We don't give nicknames to Jartavius anymore. He don't get a nickname. He don't get no. That's the thing, right? We don't give no nicknames to anybody who played as poorly as him. He got to earn his name back. So Jartavius Martin, that man. What we got to figure out with Jartavius is he going to end up playing in the slot as well as post, or, like, how are they going to maneuver him? Durante Jones is an interesting person because of, we know his background and the different mini coordinators he came from, but also, like, the principles in the drastic styles. So, like, we got to figure out how he blends these elements together. But to that point, Tyler Owens, Jartavius, like, those move pieces where you can figure out, like, what can we do to have their pros, like, what can they stand out? How can they stand out in this defense? And I think that's kind of the wild card there is, like, what exactly do they do? And if you can find a way to get them on the field, one of them, I don't think it's going to be both.
Yeah.
But whoever stands out, I think ultimately you're looking at a situation where it's like, all right, we can work with this for this year, and maybe it's even better than we can work with this. Maybe it's like, oh damn, like
maybe really, something we don't know, right?
Exactly. So like they got to figure that part out.
Maybe Durante can push Jatavius in the phone booth and he come out Quan. I mean, I don't know.
I ain't saying this. We're gonna see about Jatavius. It's really that cornerback spot. I'm glad they got Rasul. Like,
yeah. How you feeling about them before we get up out of here?
Yeah, no, the corners is the biggest. I mean, safeties for the obvious reason we mentioned, but corners, man, having that depth, you really need that. Whether they playing 2 cornerbacks at a time or 3, like you got to find out, because I don't think anything about the Trey Amos situation. I don't think that I'm guessing. I have absolutely no idea. But I think whatever his healing progress is, like this isn't abnormal for whatever it is. This is me spitballing. But I think the addition of Rasul should have been happened. So like this is just them understanding that they need depth.
Yeah.
But
I hope if he come out pup when that first report hit for training camp, I'm gonna freak out if Amos come out, because you hear that it was a clean break and everything is good. You see some workout videos, but you know he wasn't participating in OTAs and mini camp, so we'll see.
Yeah, we're gonna see. I'm more interested in seeing how that group plays, because I think like the overlift or the overhaul and the turnover in the front 7 was so significant, like in the best way possible, that I think like you're gonna see growth up there. You're gonna see like a turnaround. To what extent, I don't know. But that secondary in that cornerback room, like, bruh, the level in which they was getting cooked last year and even the year before, like that's where it's like how much better do they get? And I think
wasn't nothing working.
Yeah, and I think those 2 additions of Rasul and Amik, I think that is something that can help stabilize your secondary. But can it actually turn things around and you start producing the turnovers that you need and actually have moments where you strapping shit? Like, I don't know if I cuss on your toe, but
you good.
All right, yeah. Like that fourth down moment where it's Brashad Breeland breakout year 2014, and you like, all right, we got something in Brashad. Like, can we have that moment where he's strapping Dez Bryant? Like, you need your corner, you need those moments from some of these guys, and you know we're gonna see. What's up, Kim?
All right, man. Mo, I appreciate you for coming on, man. Appreciate you for taking the time to come on. Let everybody know how they can follow you up.
Hey, man, appreciate you, Deuce. And hopefully we can get one of these running back on the Trapper Dive side, bro. I'd love to have you on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even this one, I have so much more to. But Sam is back there. He came a little early. I was hoping he came a little late, but I'm definitely gonna get back in with you before the season starts for sure.
All right. Hey, just let me know. At Let More Tell It on Twitter, and then Trapper Dive on YouTube and podcast platforms. As simple as that, big dog.
All right, man. Appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir. Be safe, big dog.
Peace. Commander's call. Sam is in the building. How are you doing, sir? It's fine. It's good to meet you. The one thing about X is, like, everyone, some people have Avies, some people don't, right? So if you don't have an Avie, if you do, I say, okay, I have to go searching. So, okay, let me get the YouTube. And then I'm like, please, because some people, like, a lot of times I don't, right? Because you know how, like, you'll have your name, the banner, your name, whatever. I say, please have his name, because if it's not, I don't want to have the wrong person on the on the job, right? I was like, nah, you man, but absolutely, man, it's good finally to meet you and talk to you outside of the words and actually have some an audio conversation. Welcome, Sam. Appreciate you.
Thanks, man. No, likewise. I appreciate you having me on. I always enjoy your content. You make me laugh quite a bit, and mix that in with like some really good takes, and it's a good account. So I appreciate it being on, man. It's gonna be a good time.
So like I want to go. So Code Talker this is very interesting, right? And I didn't even know, like, ChatGPT does defenses now, I guess, right?
Okay.
But let's start with defenses, because we did a drill a month ago where we was just kind of going through different because I believe we're going to run a multiple defense, right? So I think you're going to see some 3s, you're going to see some 4s, some 5s. When it comes to the linebacker group, Leo, Sonny, Louvu, McGee, Kane. You want to put KO in there. Ballore is making this team, right? Like Izzo loves him.
Is he?
So yeah. I mean, Izzo loves him. Like we went
Yeah, I mean, he's integral to
spoke
the
to him
special
about
team.
like he loves Ballore, right? And before he got hurt, he was in the Pro Bowl conversation. But at any rate, right? Which one of these guys do you see being out on the field the most between these linebackers in any situation?
I mean, I think you'd like that to be Sonny Styles, right? Because he's supposed to be wearing the green dot. So I think it comes down to who is going to be wearing the green dot on the defense, because I think that they can have multiple guys that'll be able to make calls if the green dot's off the field in a certain situation like that. But I think it would have to be between, if you want to break it down to three, Leo Chenal, Frankie Louvu, and Styles. I would probably lean towards Styles, just like I said, for the simple fact that I anticipate him wearing the green dot.
Do you, when it comes to Sonny Styles, because this is what I don't want to happen, right? I don't want him to be forced to wear the green dot. Right. And I don't want him thinking too much too early. But maybe that's just me. I mean, somebody told me, man, he's a 7th round pick. Like you're picked in the 7th round to be this guy. But I don't want to overdo, like, I want to see Sonny moving up and down the line of scrimmage. I want to see him coming from different angles, right? I want to see him on different sides of the formation, right? Leo Chenal, like he can do it. Like he did at a very high level during a playoff Super Bowl run at the Mike position. But do you think having the green dot and just having him specifically at Mike, do you think that's going to hurt him, harm him, or do you think it really doesn't matter when it comes to Sonny?
I can see where your thought process is with it, with not wanting him to think too much, but I also view him as a cerebral player just naturally. So I kind of, with the limited knowledge that I have of him, and granted, we are a week and a half, 2 weeks out from training camp, my opinion on this could change in 3 weeks, but based upon what I've been hearing from minicamp and, the same reports that everybody else is seeing on X, it seems to be he's like a what's the word I want to say? Like a gravitational player. Like people gravitate towards him. He kind of becomes a leader.
Like they say he's kind of like what they saw from Jaden his rookie year.
Correct. Yes, that's kind of what I was getting at. And I think I just have a feeling about that. Like I could even knock Louvu off of this because Louvu is a guy that has to play without thinking too much. I think that's where his strengths lie, is like flying around as that jack linebacker, like kind of positionless, like more utilizing his strengths of just being like that Tasmanian devil style player that just gets after the ball, gets after the runner, gets wherever he needs to go fast and violently. Not to quote Joe Witt there, but I think it does come down to, Chenal and Styles, but I digress back to the fact that I just think that Styles might be able to do both. Like he has that athleticism and that smarts mixed in to where like, it is, without seeing him on the field, it is comparable to Jaden Daniels in the way that it makes me feel. So I would agree with that. Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Have you had a chat? I'm pretty sure you've watched the Ari interview, right?
Yes, I listened to it today. I was at work, but I was like listening to it. So
yeah. I do want to get into the Blau offense part with you. But outside of that, what was some of, like, just give us a few of the things that stood out to you the most from the interview?
Just something like continuity. And with every time I've seen him speak, he's very thoughtful about what he says. He seems to have like deep connections with everyone everywhere he went. Like the story about Matt Stafford, the story about him being like, I think he mentioned that Dan Campbell, it's kind of stuck out to me, that Dan Campbell, he was there before Dan Campbell and was a holdover in Dan Campbell's first year, and mentioned how that was when his wife was over, she's an Olympian, like running in another country. And he was a backup quarterback, like barely practice squad guy at the time. And Dan Campbell, like let him go into locker rooms like 20 minutes early to watch her run. And little did he know, like he had brought like the whole team like in there so he could watch him run. And just like the way that like he develops relationships with people, I think is like a core element to building an offense, because I think that when you build a new offense, and especially with him being 30 years old, like I'm 37, I can't imagine me building an NFL offense at 30 years old. Like the trust that they have in him it sounds to be exceptional. And I think that the foundation of building an offense or building a defense or building a team, regardless, is getting to know everybody first and building those relationships, finding what they're good at, finding what maybe they're not so good at, and molding that into a cohesive like amoeba that like I kind of anticipate, like just as how we're going to have a multiple defense, I anticipate us having a multiple offense as well. So yeah, that like the relationship stuff stood out to me. I'll be honest with you, I didn't get through the entire thing. I probably made it like 45% of the way through. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
it's
mean,
cool
mostly the relationship stuff stuck out to me.
because this time last year he was assistant quarterbacks coach, right? That's just
Yeah.
facts, right? And we can defend it all day long, right? He's been, because he's not just a first time play caller, right? Like it's just not that. Like this is the first time he's doing it on any level ever, right? This is the first time he's leading a position, a group. Like he's never led a position group, but now he's leading, like you said, he's leading a whole offense, right? So there's so many different things that we don't even know, understand about being in that environment. I mean, unless you was a OC or a coach somewhere. I ain't trying to, in the NFL, like I don't know, maybe you was on a
Definitely not.
or whatever, right? Like so, some things that
maybe
we don't
way.
know, right? So maybe some things we don't know, but like, how concerned are you with when that 24-second clocks in the regular season game against Philly, his first 24-second clock? Like, how confident are you that he's going to be able to deliver?
I don't mean this negatively at all when I say this. I have zero confidence as of
Look
right
at
now,
Kyle.
just because like
Abe Lincoln never held an executive position before he was president.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, go
Football
ahead,
presidency, it's kind of the same thing, if you really think about it. But I think like when I say zero confidence in it, like I don't mean that in a harsh way. I just like don't have. I'm wary of it, I feel like is like a better way to put it. I'm optimistic, given kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, like the relationships that he's built, and I will say one thing. I was a little concerned when they lost Brian Johnson, just because like I wanted somebody in the background, and I know they still have Anthony Lynn, they still have guys in the background that are like there to help him, Dan Quinn. But I'm talking about like maybe guys on the offensive side of the ball they could have brought in as perhaps a consultant, like somebody that's called plays before. Again, Anthony Lynn is there, but like I would be a little bit more confident if there was just like one more guy that was there that did as well. But with like literally nothing to go off of other than based on the fact that he doesn't have any experience calling plays, like, yeah, I'm a little concerned for sure. Luckily we have Jaden Daniels, who seems to pick up on things very fast and be an elite communicator. Lau seems to be a good communicator, but like when you're putting things together on the football field, it's a completely different story. Say you're in the fourth quarter, 2-minute warning, no timeouts left after that. Like,
Yeah,
you got to score, like we're going to have we are going to have at least 1 or 5 of those moments this year. Like he's going to have it. He's going to have to learn on the fly really fast. Can he do that? Going back to the show, he threw a touchdown pass like on his first start ever to Kenny Galladay of all people. So like, hey, you never know. Maybe he comes out swinging with his first game as an offensive coordinator. Maybe we get a deep shot for a touchdown there. But yeah, confidence level. Based on my feeling, my confidence level is probably like a 7. Based on not my feelings, so reality, I just want to say a neutral 5 because it can really just go either way.
And listen, like now here go dog tired, right? This is there was no way I could have predicted that I would have 2 Abe Lincoln comments in the chat today. There's no way I could have
What are the
predicted I would
odds?
have 2 Abe Lincoln comments in the chat today. But the fact of the matter, like you mentioned, the offensive coaches, like the ones they're young. You got David Rye, right? You have Blau, you have DJ, you have the other, what's his name, the assistant quarterbacks coach. I forgot. But all of those guys are young, right? Couple years experience at most, right? I mean, even DJ, I think this is what, second year coaching quarterbacks.
Something like that.
Right. So like all those guys are a lot so young. So they are really banking on Anthony Lynn, right? Because he has the experience, right? And I know he wants to be there because like he took a demotion, right? And he's just a running backs coach, but he's there, right? And I think he's gonna have a big impact. And David Blau mentions it all the time about some of the guys that he has and how it's a collective effort because he understands that, you know, he's going to need these guys walking in. So that is like a concern, right? Because the fact that he's not coming in with a head coach on year 1. He's coming in with the head coach on year 3, which had a bad year and he had a horrible year, right? So who knows what it's going to look like if we come out flat the first few weeks. The first 3 games of the year is a gauntlet that they didn't give him any favors at all. And we're really going to be relying on this defense. I think the defense is going to be far ahead of the offense. But when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, what are you most excited for?
I mean, it's tough between just the collective front 7, I guess. Like the defensive line because they invested so much into it, but also the linebacker group because they invested so much into it. Like we went from like old and crusty to new and shiny overnight. And I'm like, damn, it's like you get a new car. Like it's like the first like new if you ever had a new car, like after having like a hoopty for a while. And you're like, or just something nice in general after having a hoopty for a while. You're like, damn, I can't wait to go like whip this around the block. And that's like kind of how I feel about like both position groups. So like just the collective front 7, like Odafe Owe, I think is gonna come into his own. I really do. Like I'm just excited about Durante Jones too, man. Like if it's anything like the Flores defense, it's gonna be really fun to watch. And they haven't really like hid the fact that they're gonna blitz a lot. And it's been like really, I mean, you watch the games, like it has been really frustrating like the last few years, like for a while, because like we used to blitz a lot with back in the day with like Greg Williams. Like that like was aggressive. Granted, we had Sean Taylor and like other guys back then, but like that was fun to watch. I mean, they gave up some plays, but when they got home, it was fun. And like I kind of feel like the last few years they've just been kind of like playing to not lose as a defense, and like that just doesn't work, you know. And an attacking defense will be pretty tight. And I mean, I'm excited to get Luvu back. I think into his own form. You know, we know he had to play out of position last year, but I think, you know, with the linebacker help around him, he'll be flying around. And I've said it like so many times on X, like he was an All-Pro, second team All-Pro 18 months ago. Like, you don't just forget how to play football, you know,
right?
Especially
and I think it was more mental too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there was like no stability for him, like position wise, I feel like the entire year. And a lot of that was like out of necessity for injury. But then there's other times I saw him lined up and I'm like thinking to myself, like, why do they have him like doing this when he could be doing that? You know?
Yeah.
But,
and that's the good thing about the depth this year is that we have guys up and down the line of scrimmage that can play that have versatility, right? So you shouldn't be, especially the front 7, you shouldn't have anybody that's playing out of their natural positions.
Yeah. I mean, obviously just excited to watch what the 7th overall pick can do. I mean, I feel like that's been like kind of lost like in this offseason like banter, you know, like
because we've been talking about wide receivers so much.
Because we've been talking about wide receiver Brandon like the whole time. Like, and that's fine. Like, but like I was thinking the other day, I was like, dude, I haven't even heard somebody mention Sonny Styles in like 2 months, dude. Like, that's fine. Like, I know he's like in the lab working, like getting ready, but like damn, that has to be like the most like least talked about top 10 pick in DC like in a while. So
Yeah, because
definitely
it's
excited
all
to
about
see it.
wide receivers. Like that's all. That's
Yeah.
all we've been talking about is the wide receivers for sure. But trust me, when training camp ramp up and them fans get there, we're gonna talking a
Yeah.
lot about Sonny, right?
Oh, yeah.
We gonna hear a lot about Sonny. Who are you like when it comes to these pass rushers? Right, we got the $100 million man at Owe. We got Chason, who believed he should have got a multi-year deal. We end up getting him for 1 year. Dorrance Armstrong is coming back from injury. We'll see where he is when training camp starts. Dietrich Wise coming back from injury. We'll see where he is. You got Charles Omenihu, who seems like this is the best place he's ever played with, right? Like, I mean, what else he's going to say, right? He's here. Which one of these, like, how confident are you in these edge rushers and these defensive ends setting the edge?
I think it all starts with how is the health going to be in the beginning of the season, because still kind of unsure about Dorrance Armstrong and unsure about Dietrich Wise, both season-ending injuries last year. Dietrich Wise, I believe, tore his quad, like off the bone, which is like it's a terrifying injury. It's really bad.
Yeah, this just
and
sounds horrible.
Yeah, man, it's ugh. And
I don't even
then
know how that happens.
a couple other players have had it before, and I think like end of their careers. Like honestly, like it's supposed to be like one of the most painful. I don't even think about it. But yeah, his leg, and then Dorrance Armstrong was ACL, right? I believe
they never really say it. They just say leg
Yeah.
injury. But yeah,
Okay.
who knows?
I'm gonna assume ACL just because given the amount of time he was at, but leg injury. I think if you get one or both of them back to start week one, I'm just going off of gut. Like I have no information on this, obviously, but I kind of have a feeling like Armstrong might be back week one, and Wise start on PUP, perhaps. I mean, this is just me spitballing as well. Like I'm not sure. You think if you get one or two of them back to start the season, I'd feel a lot better about it. But they do have there's going to be like some tough decisions at the bottom, like Javonte Jean-Baptiste, who's like barely started able to see the field since he got drafted because of injuries, But then you got I keep wanting to call him KJ Henry. I don't know why. Probably because I don't know, Clemson and Tennessee, Orange. But Joshua Josephs, I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. He just kind of strikes me as like somebody that's going to flash in camp and then make an impact. I mean, I'm a hell of a lot more confident in him than I was going in last year. I'll say that.
Oh, most definitely, hands down.
I mean,
most definitely, hands down, sure.
And I think the interior guy, I think they'll complement each other well. Linebackers are better to help play the run. So in terms of like playing the run, I feel like a lot better. In terms of like getting after the quarterback, like purely sacks and pressures, I will feel better if they have like a couple more of those guys just for a better rotation. But I'm very happy with the Chason signing. I think that he's going to pop. I think if we see any semblance of Brian Flores' defense, as I mentioned before, I think he suits that perfectly. And I think Owe, like I said, is coming into his own. So they've massively, massively raised their floor. The ceiling's yet to be determined, but I am optimistic.
All right. So if I gave you a Pro Bowl gold card where you can take this gold card, cash it in, and put a Pro Bowl player, no names, no nothing, just a Pro Bowl, add a Pro Bowl player to any position group, where are you doing it and why?
Is this offense and defense or just defense?
Yep. The team. You could be a kicker if you want.
So am I just saying a position or like picking somebody?
Like for me, if I had a Pro Bowl gold card, I would take that gold card and put it in the cornerback room opposite Amos. That's what I would do with my gold card.
Honestly, if I had a gold card too, I would probably do the same thing. But for the sake of this exercise, I'll say wide receiver too.
There it is.
Yeah. Why not? Please the crowd, I mean, hey, did Stephon Diggs make the Pro Bowl last year? 1,000 yards.
That's a good question.
If he'd have played more snaps, that'd be close enough. Yeah.
Because I'm thinking it's like
wide receiver
5 games
I mean,
or something.
two most obvious holes on the team, in my opinion. I'm happy they got Rasul Douglas. That was a good signing. Gives them some length, a little bit of depth, but still something to be desired. I feel like, shut down corner. I think it was like Maul brought him up, or you brought him up. Rashad Breeland, like somebody like that would be perfect.
Yeah.
But
where do you think Adam Peters wasn't aggressive enough this offseason? Position group.
cornerback,
Okay.
corner, because there's guys like I wanted Jamel Dean. Like I was
He's
like
the
pounding
man of the people.
I was pounding I was pounding the table, man.
Yeah. For who?
Jamel Dean. I think
Yeah.
from Tampa. Sorry, I was reading the comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted Jamel Dean. Like I feel like that I can't remember exactly who was on free agency. But like I can't really discredit like if the rumors are true about Mansour Delane, then I guess like I'd kind of have to retract that. Like if that actually was their draft board was to take him first. I guess maybe I'd have to retract that, but like I don't know.
And I think when it comes to when people say, well, if you get a wide receiver, you don't get Sonny Styles. Like I get that, right? So
can't pick two people,
right? Exactly, right. but it's still the same. It's the facts are the facts, like or even if. But a lot of times I wonder because I'm still learning Adam Peters, right? I think he showed us 3 different off seasons. Like he's been 3 different people these off seasons, which I like. Maybe this is who he is. He's actually taking what he has, and that's how he's going to work the off season, and not be a cliche guy where you know what he's going to do. But I will say, when you need something, you go out and get it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I think some of the issues are with some people with Adam Peters is look, you need a center, pay the extra $2 million. Right. Or you need that wide receiver, pay the extra. And of course, they have to want to come here too. Yeah, I get that part. But with Adam Peters, he has shown that he has a number and he has a secondary number. And he's not going past that secondary number for nobody. And I don't know if that's it. Like it could be good or it could be bad. Like I still trying to figure that part out. What do you think?
It's tough because like I kind of can see it both ways. Like
the
Linderbaum thing, I feel like I heard that they paid them like $5 million more. I think we offered like 20 and you got 25 or something like that. And it kind of like blew them out of the water. And like I don't know. I mean, it ain't my money. You know what I mean? And we had the money. So like, I mean, I guess they really love Nick Allegretti. I wouldn't have been that mad if they paid the best center in football an extra $5 million. Like, and like you said, they're like, oh yeah, people want to come here. Well, you know how you make people want to come here? You pay them more money. You know what I mean? So like, kind of exactly. Like I agree with you.
Who said like, we'll stop at 30. That's true. They had a lot of money too.
That is true. And it's Tom Brady. And Tom Brady's probably like, I'm not going to be outbid.
Right.
You know, and that's a good point. But like, I don't know. I really wanted Linderbaum. So
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, is it a good thing or is it a bad? Or maybe it's just case by case basis.
I think it's
right.
Case
like
by case.
You know what I'm saying? Because like with Linderbaum, that's a lot of money to be paying the center, and that was a lot of money to be paying and bidding on Alec Pierce. Right, that's a lot of money, and that could seem like a reach. You know what I mean? So, right. So I mean, like it's case by case for sure.
Yeah, like I'm glad they didn't get Alec Pierce. Like I don't think I wouldn't have liked my team to pay that amount of money for him. You know, I would have rather had, somebody else maybe or invest that but like somebody like I'm totally fine with them like overpaying for a defensive end because like they really needed one. So like they did do it there. I mean, we get to determine how it turns out, but like I was happy with we really need pass rushing. All right, here's a $100 million pass rusher. All right, cool.
Yeah.
But like, I guess, yes, we don't know Adam Peters yet, but like we are starting to see a pattern of the positions that he values over other positions. I feel like, you know what I mean? Wide receiver too, I don't think is a position that he values as much as like tight end maybe or edge rusher or something like that. But Yeah,
I mean, shoot, wide receiver one. People think he ain't value that last year with the whole debacle with Terry.
That's true. But like,
or he might ain't see him as a wide receiver one. Like, who knows? But I don't want to go back. I don't want to dig up.
I don't
want
to think about that. Terry just wasn't his guy. That's what I'm going to leave it at. That's what I'm going to like continue to believe in my head. Is that
that's a good point too, Tommy.
He just didn't draft him. Yeah.
Yeah. So, open market. Yeah. They don't hit open market too often. You got to trade or draft them.
Yep.
Great point. So I think when it comes to Dan Quinn, because you heard rumors or whatever, hot seat. I don't think he's on the hot seat right now. Like I just don't, right? But there is a conversation, right? If we didn't have 11 or 12 head coach openings, like who knows what this offseason could have been like. But I think that's his guy. But a lot can change very, very early, right? You come out flat week 1, come out flat week 2, you go 0-2 in a division. Then you got the Seahawks coming up next. That Monday morning after the Dallas game could be very, very uncomfortable for Dan Quinn.
I agree with you. I don't think he's on the hot seat, and I don't think that he will get fired mid-season in any situation this year. Now, I think if he has a really, really bad season, like they win less than 6 or 7 games, probably 7 games, then there's going to be a conversation. But I think when they hired Dan Quinn, that they had a plan for longevity and support of a quarterback that they were in lockstep with. Like, yeah, it's going to be a gauntlet in the beginning of the season, but like, do you want to go through that and then fire your head coach with the third-year quarterback, 2 brand new offensive coordinators? Like, I just don't see Josh Harris being like, based upon like how he's handled his other franchises in other leagues, like he's never been the kind to like cut ties suddenly or like do it mid-season. Like, look at how they handled the Ron Rivera situation. Like, they kept the boat steady for a whole year. We all knew it was going to happen. Ron Rivera knew it was going to happen,
for sure.
But they did it gracefully and quietly in the offseason and transitioned into a different, chapter of the franchise. So, I mean, barring like some super ridiculously bad repeat of last year, like, I think Dan Quinn's here for at least another year. I just, I don't see.
I mean, when it comes to Dan Quinn, this can go like these can go 2 or 3 different ways, right? Like the team could be horrible, he could get fired. The team could be really good, and he could be fired, right? Because and I say that because David Blau come out here, like teams already wanted him as an assistant quarterbacks coach to be their offensive coordinator, right? So just imagine if he comes out here and he gets Jaden back to this all-pro, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, top 10 offense, top 5 offense. In a year, they get to the playoffs, win a game or 2. Man, Adam Peters could have a decision to make at the end of the year.
This is what's going to happen, dudes. We're going to win the Super Bowl within the next 2 years. Dan Quinn's going to retire just like Bruce Arians did and just hand the team over to David Blau, and then everybody wins. We don't have to worry about losing anybody. Nobody got fired. It's a win-win situation, right? I think it sounds like a great plan personally.
Yeah,
but
there it is.
That is wishful thinking, man. That is wishful thinking. But to be real, you're absolutely right. Like, I've actually thought about that. I'm like, man, like, what if like they don't want, like, Adam Peters could have a decision to make. Like, could they trade Dan Quinn? Maybe Dan Quinn's doing really. I mean, there's a fourth avenue. I know, but like,
yeah,
who was the last coach to get traded? Like John Gruden, like 2001.
Sean Payton, I think, right?
You're right. Sean Payton did get traded.
Yeah.
I think it was like 2 first-round picks. That's true. Yeah, I mean, it could go a lot of ways. It could be fired. It could be.
Who knows?
Could be firing both coordinators this time next year too. So who knows?
All right, man. Sam, Commander's Call. Absolutely appreciate you for taking the time to come on and joining me. It's been a ball. We definitely gonna have to do this again. Let everybody know how they can follow you, where to follow you.
Cool. My personal is Commanders_365 on X, and you can find us on X for the podcast page. That's at Manders, MANDERS. Call Pod. You can find it on all platforms as well. YouTube, it's all the same handle. We're about to get started up on some season stuff soon, so hopefully catch you then. And thanks a ton for having me on, man. This was a lot of fun. Definitely want to do it again. have you on ours as well.
For
It'd be a
sure,
good
for
time.
sure. Just hit me up.
Yeah, man.
Because you do writings too, right?
Yeah, I do a little Substack too. I've taken a little vacation the last couple of weeks, but as we draw nearer to training camp, we'll probably be doing probably 1, 2, maybe 3 a week. Cover basically bringing stuff happens in practice and stuff like that. So
it's a lot of words. It's a lot
of
of
words, but
man.
I've always been more like the writer than like I'm still getting used to like the video thing. So
yeah.
But appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Have a good one. Take care, buddy.
Take care. Peace out.
Yep. All right, man. This is day 6. We got 2 more days. 8 days, 30 plus commanders, content creators. Trying to sneak a couple more in there too. Before we end this out, we have been a ball. If you are here and you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Please hit those like buttons. Everyone that's in here, hit the like buttons. I don't know if it's a thumbs up, it's a heart, dollar, whatever it is, hit it up. Check out the community, different ways that you can support your boy. And that's about it, man. Thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. I know your time is very valuable to you, and you use some of it with me. Remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you. One beat, one sound, one heart, one love. That's it for today, right? Let me see. Yeah, that's it for today. All right, peace.